නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the fully enlightened Buddha, the worthy one, the blessed one, the fully enlightened Buddha. Dear friends in Dhamma, today I would like to discuss with you how to live in harmony with each other in lovely, amicable, friendly atmosphere. So, today I would like to discuss a sutta, discourse delivered by the Buddha to the Venerable Anuruddha, Nandiya and Kimbila. This sutta is called Gosinga Sutta. At that time, Buddha was having his retreat in near Vaisali, present Vaisali in India, a brick house. So, afternoon he sat for meditation. After deep meditation, he came back to the normal life and he took his alms bowl and robes and visited to Sal would grow where Anuruddha and Kimbila and Nandiya, these three venerables was living. When the gardener, the garden keeper saw that Buddha was arriving there, he didn't know the relationship between these three spiritual friends and the Buddha. He told him, there are three spiritual friends meditating here. Please don't come here and don't disturb them. Then when this was said, Venerable Anuruddha might have been walking around and he have overheard this sound, and he thereby told the gardener, the garden keeper, please let our teacher, the Buddha, to come in. He is our teacher. So, all the three monks get ready to welcome the Buddha. Some arrange water to wash the feet of the Buddha, and some arrange seat to sit down, and some arrange some drinking water and other essential to welcome the Lord Buddha. Then we had a very amicable and very friendly discussion with the Buddha. So, Buddha asked, how are you? Are you getting alms food without any difficulty? Do you have any discomfort in living in this sala wood grow? Things like that Buddha asked from them. They said, we are having no difficulty to getting our alms food. We are having very good time here. We are enjoying our meditation here, our retreat here. There is no problem as such. Then Buddha asked from Anuruddha, do you live in concord with mutual appreciation, without disputing, without quarreling, without arguing? Are you living happily? Then Anuruddha replied to the Buddha, we are living in harmony. We are living with a pleasant and very kind eye, looking at each other. We are living with mutual understanding, also with energy, and we are not arguing or debating or causing any passing any angry words among us. So, we are living like the milk and the water blend together so nicely. This is a very beautiful simile which was given by Anuruddha Thero to the Buddha, like the milk and water. We know that milk and water can be mixed together so nicely. You cannot separate it out, what is milk and what is water. Perhaps you can do it with the modern science, but normal people cannot do that. So, their friendship and their spiritual companionship was as such. So, we can learn from these three monks, because when we are living in this society, there are so many conflicts and so many difficulties to dealing with our fellow friends, our colleagues in our office, our family members at our home, and our workers at our working place, in our when we are traveling, the passengers in the bus, maybe passengers in the train. So, we need to have kind of mutual appreciation, mutual understanding, mutual respect, so that we can have a good, better relationships in the society, because whole of our life is depend on many kinds of relationships. So, then Buddha asked, how do you live in concord? How do you live with mutual appreciation one another? How do you appreciate one another? Then they said, when we are going alms round, because there are three monks, they take the ball and go alms round. Maybe they go in different routes. So, whenever, whoever come back to the this forest shade or forest kuti, forest shell, they will think, I will prepare the tables, and I will clean the dining area, I will put the rubbish bin or the trash can near the eating place. And those days there are water is not running, so they will bring from the well or the stream drinking water and also the washing water. And if there is anything need to be done, they will do it. And not only that, Anuruddha Thero said, we will put aside our ego, my, I, myself. They will do, what they do is, they think, I will give up my whim and fancies, I will give up my desires, my own way of thinking. I will try to do what others want me to do. I will try to do what they are happy when I am doing such things. So, I will give up my ego and I will try to understand other people's needs and necessities. So, I will attend to them by reducing and suppressing my own ego and self desires. So, this is a great thing we need to learn in our society. We always want our way, my idea, my method, my way of doing things. If not, we are very unhappy. So, this cordial and amicable relationship, they always think for the betterment and the happiness and the welfare of their fellow spiritual meditators. So, this is the ideal situation where we can learn to live in harmony. If we can concern with the others' needs and necessities and pay attention and also pay respect and also attend to their needs, this way we can help others to live in harmony, because we try to understand each other. Mutual understanding is very important. Then whoever comes first, he will arrange the dining area, and whoever comes late, he will what he will do is, he will eat, if there is a leftover food, he will eat it. And also he said, if any dishes or any containers to be washed, he washed, and if any remaining food is there, they will throw away. So, when they are throwing away, they say two things: they do not throw away to the greenery, because they will die because of the food, and also they will not throw it to the water where there are creatures. So, their concern about environment also can be seen from the caring attitude towards the environment, can be seen from their behavior. So, Buddha praised them for their this way of thinking and asked further, do you have any other supernatural, any other high degree of spiritual advancement through their meditation? Then they said, yes, Lord Buddha, we have the first jhana, first absorption, and the second absorption, and the third and fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. There are 8 absorption in Buddhism. We have developed these 8 absorptions, and we have reached to their mastery of these absorptions, and we can reach to these absorptions so quickly. It is very interesting to note that Anuruddha was one of the cleverest disciples of the Buddha who can go to deep absorptions, deep state of meditation, and he could see even the galaxies, the world systems, the suns and moons, thousands and billions of suns and moons. And when he was trying to become Arahant, and he was not able to reach the enlightenment so quickly, because he had some mana, some conceit, some pride about his abilities to reach and see the Dibba Chakku, the divine eye. Through that he could see all the galaxies, and he has some attachment to these hindrances. Therefore, Venerable Sariputta advised him, don't attach to these divine abilities, the ability to see the world systems and other things through his divine eye, and become humble and practice meditation diligently and ardently, and he could reach the enlightenment. As Sariputta guided him, soon he could become enlightened. So, in this dialogue with the Buddha, Buddha praised them, the conformity, their agreement, they are living in harmony without arguing, without debating, without quarreling, and without stabbing with the verbal dagger. You know, when we are arguing, it's our words like a knife, both sides sharpened knife can hurt. So, similarly Buddha said, you are living in harmony and with the spiritual understanding. And they said, even though we have many bodies, we are one in mind, because they have deep understanding about themselves, each other's needs, each other's way of thinking. Therefore, they said, we live in different in bodies, but in one mind. So, therefore, friends, it is in our home we need to understand. So, the Buddha's teaching about love is really great teaching. Everybody needs to learn to live with the love, to understand love. In Buddhism, there are so many Pali terms such as prema, sneha, and avyapada, hatelessness, or non-ill will, adosa. These are some terms. There are maybe 18 or 20 terms used about this love, and love is friendliness, affection, goodwill, and concern for the welfare of others. So, word love can be mean like in different situations. In today's situation, today's society, if you love chocolate, they say I love chocolate, I love sandwich, or there are different connotations or different meanings to the word love. But in Buddha's way of love is the teaching way of love is far more greater, because Buddha teaches us to take oneself as example. Attanam upamam kattva, having taken oneself as example, you should not, because if you don't like somebody come and hurt you, you don't like somebody come and make a wound in you, you don't like somebody come and kill you. Similarly, every sentient beings love their life. They love to live. They don't like to get tortured. They don't like somebody come and harm them. So, having taken oneself as example, therefore, not to harm or not to kill or not to make any painful things to the sentient beings. So, as am I, so are others. This is the way of we should develop, the way we should think about the other beings. As others, so am I. As other people, same is me. There is no difference. So, we have to put ourselves in the place of another. So, in loving intimacy, the emotional intimacy, and so when we have our day to day life, especially family life, they are husband and wife. So, they have intimate relationships. So, they disclose their secrets and their problems and their mental emotions. So, to function this society is very important. So, in love, this concept of love is today totally misunderstood. Some people love their phone or love their gadgets or touch technological things, and they use people. This is the big difference in today's society. The love can be done between human beings or other animals or any other kingdoms. So, any other sentient, even the animals, they feel the love. I saw one video recording where one woman, she was a diver, she goes too deep into the sea, and she make friends with the shark and take out the hooks that was put in their mouth by the fisherman, and they become so friendly. When they are removed from their mouth, they feel so relaxed and they feel so happy, because they had this pain for long time. So, it is very important. So, in order to have ability to be happy, we must develop in Buddhism the metta. One concept is metta, the sending loving kindness towards the all human beings, all sentient beings. So, there is no discrimination, whether big animals or small animals, animals you can see or animals you cannot see, near or far. Even in Karaniya Metta Sutta, Buddha said that when you are having like bacteria and amoeba, Kanukatura, small and two small animals, small creatures. So, Buddha's classification of the human realms and the other animal realms is so wide. It includes all the sentient beings in the universe, Devas, Brahmas. So, the love Buddha has explained is so wide. And also Buddha said the second quality we need to develop is mudita. Mudita is rejoicing the happiness of the others. So, one part of the love is rejoice in the happiness of the others. One part of the love is giving and sharing your things with the others. So, if you are loving the society, if you are loving the nature, if you are loving the other animals, you can share your things to the other beings. So, this way you can develop the two qualities, mudita and metta. These are the greatest qualities Buddha explained. Now people say the theistic religions say their God is the only person who teaches the love, his love is the greatest and unconditional. But if you look at for example, if a mother is looking after her sick or maybe disabled child, she is doing it with a conditional love. She might get husband support, she might get the she is doing because that child is hers. If that child is not her, she might not do that. Similarly, some theistic religions say their God is the love, love is the God, but if you look at the texts, those religious texts, they say the God will forgive you on conditions that, what is the condition? If you believe in him, if you understand him and become a follower of that faith. So, there is as far as I can see, there cannot see unconditional love. He will protect you if you believe in him. So, there is a condition. So, unconditional love is, Buddha taught, is the metta. There is no condition, nothing is limited. So, if you have this unconditional love, you have the loyalty, you have the trust and the other things to the one. So, some religious institutions accepting, forgiving and teach the greatest love, but yet they cannot accept the other religion, they cannot accept the followers of the other religion. They are happy only their religious followers are living in this earth. So, this is in theory you can teach very widest, the very biggest sense of love, but in practice, if you do not belong to that religious group, if you do not belong to that faith, you cannot live in that area, or you cannot live with them, or you are considered infidels, or you should be get killed. This kind of teachings can be seen in some of the famous religions in the world. So, these are quite wrong teaching, because if people are taught, because people of our faith is only should live in this earth, other people who have the difference of opinion, different faith, different following, different traditions, different kinds of religious practices, they cannot live. So, this kind of limited, very narrow, very unpathetic, no kind of compassion is not good. So, this kind of ideological teachings can lead, whereas if you go to the America, if you go to South Africa, you can see those who teaching about the greatness of their religious teacher or their God, but when they go to the church or the place of religious worship, the black people goes to a different church and the white people goes to a different place of religious worship or mosque. So, kind of any religious place. So, there is a very great limitation in their teaching, in their practice. So, it is not what is important as what it says in your book. In your practical life, if they are discriminating other religious people, and if they are taking some different attitude towards the other religious people and treat them differently and discriminate or make them suffer because of their religious faith. So, there is something wrong with that kind of teaching. So, we need to have openness, embracing all the people together, and whether you believe their religious tradition or our religious tradition, it does not matter as long as all human beings are basically same, because we have the hunger, we have to sleep, we have our blood is same. So, if we can consider that all beings are like suffering beings, that is how Buddha asked us to look. We all are suffering beings, we need care, we need love, we need affection, we need caring attitude towards us. Therefore, friends, even you have the in theory so big concepts, big ideas about the love, no matter how great your teachings, if you do not practice in your day to day life, no matter whatever religious tradition, whatever religious denominations you are belong, but as long as you can't consider all the beings as same and need the same kind of care and attention and love, there is something wrong with us. So, dear friends, this Chula Gosinga Sutta explain us that we need to live in harmony. There are differences, there are various kinds of race, religion, area and all other demarcations and differences. Despite all this, we need to try to live in harmony, in concord, with the mutual appreciation, understanding each other's needs and trying to help each other. This is the message that passed from this great sutta. So, dear friends, may the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha bless you and guide you and protect you.